3, 2, 1, take.
Shweta, carrying on from where we left off, you were just concluding your points with regard to this Marianne Borgo case specifically. And so the thing is, just tell us a little bit about the experience when you all went to the police station and filed the complaint.
So we didn't went to the police station. The
yeah.
police again and again came. So this entire saga lasted for about a week to 10 days, where there were goons which are outside her house. There's a gypsy that is inside, and she cannot get out of a single room.
Right.
And inside that room, there was no electricity. The water connection was cut. So there was someone else who was cooking food outside and delivering, and only that one person was allowed.
Right.
So a couple of times we went and we asked them if we want to go and see our friend. And these people were stopping us and asked us for a court order. So I asked them that, okay, who are you to ask me for a court order? Can I see your ID? And but despite all of that, when I'm saying that there was a real threat, right? We knew looking at them that anything could happen. And then 4 days pass, and in the middle of the night, close to 20-25 people enter the house and break the windshield of her car, and around that area also do other things. She was only in a room, so they must have entered the house also and done other damage to the property. After which, it was only because of the stories that were happening in media that they got really scared, because after a point we would come in the morning and the women who were there would run away seeing us, and they asked Marianne that, okay, we will give you time till February 15th to live here, to pack everything so that you can go out with dignity. It's your choice, but the bargain is that you will not speak to media, which she refused and decided to leave the house. And currently she's lodged in a hotel room. And the problem with this situation is that it's very normal, you know. The case is going to keep getting delayed. Eventually her visa will get over in the month of March or April, and she will go back, and this would be taken over, and it's over.
Yeah.
But there is a financial transaction which is available, which has gone from Marianne, and this is a very common thing actually. Either of course, either we say that, okay, fine, there's no property to be bought in Goa by the foreigners, either apartments or houses or companies or investment through loopholes. There's so many loopholes to do that.
Right.
And people who are living here for 25, 35 years, of course they will
know
try
it,
and invest.
they know it all, yes.
You
They
know,
know how to do it.
and it's assisted. It's not happening in isolation. It's being assisted with people from India, right? There's companies are formed and they are helped. But a situation like this usually happens to a single woman, I have seen. That where you can very easily sort of use it. But this is not just about taking over this particular house. It seems there are bigger reasons to take over this house. There is some plan to make a road that will go through the paddy field, probably doing more kind of development to this particular property. And her case is one case. There are many cases like this that have happened in Goa, and in the next few years we'll see way more, only because now we have 30-35 years of people from outside residing in Goa, you know.
Right. Ryan, moving on from this particular case specifically, if you could just tell us that in similar such cases, I mean, without getting into this, in similar such cases, and you may have encountered some of these. So, what can be done and what is not being done in this whole grey area between criminal and civil?
First of all, the mere existence of a civil dispute does not necessarily exclude either criminal liability or action in criminal law. The first leg of it is the preventive actions of the police. Amongst other things, well-known section 151, where if someone is about to commit a crime or is doing anything that disturbs the peace, the police can always put him under preventive detention. It happens very often. The exercise of this power is not unknown within Goa, and then of course the person has to get an order of bail from the executive magistrate, and he will have to execute bonds to maintain the peace and good behavior and so on. In circumstances like these, that was one option which could have been employed before things went to the point where you have to register an FIR and take action. Perhaps that was something that was not done. There are other provisions also that could have been invoked, what we commonly call the chapter cases, where the matter is referred to an executive magistrate. He examines the matter and decides whether any or all of the people involved in a particular occurrence
Right.
should be asked to give bonds of good behavior for whatever period he or she may deem fit. Things like these were not taken up. Then, of course, the question of registration of an FIR and consequential investigation, and then, of course, further action depending on what the investigation turned up
Right. Right.
uh,
Right.
as evidence. These things were perhaps all not done. I would repeat that the existence of a civil dispute cannot exclude all of these actions. Just to illustrate, if a builder approaches me and offers to sell me a flat, say for 10 lakhs, I pay him the 10 lakhs and he takes off with it and never even puts up the building. Technically, I can file a suit to recover my 10 lakhs from him with interest and whatever else. But I can also file a complaint alleging that he has cheated me, that he made that representation of a flat only to induce me to part with the money with no intention of ever delivering such a flat to me.
Right. Right.
And I would in such a case be able to maintain a civil suit and a criminal complaint. And I think this is what people are losing sight of.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Phil, coming back to a subject that you have closely followed and you briefly mentioned and alluded to, it's the whole Vasco rape case, because that's another area where you feel very strongly about, where you feel that justice has not been done to girl, and somehow the powers that be bent towards the party that may have been the perpetrators of this whole crime. But when you say that, let me also make a point here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think the police officer who was involved there, we feel that she had done a pretty honest, hardworking job, and somewhere it fell down the cracks. In the sense that initially, when the lady police officer was investigating the case, she did it with a lot of sensitivity initially. So what led to it after that? Because it's just a feeling that we got as journalists. But thereafter, of course, ultimately 10 years later, the person has not been caught. So that again is a bigger story than one police officer doing her work diligently.
See, in that case, I have nothing against that police officer who
Right.
was investigating initially.
Right.
My whole issue is that police have, in the whole, have not done a scientific job
Right.
in the whole investigation and timely. That is where. And my sometimes fear is that we talk of criminals and this, but the police sometimes and the system also goes against on caste basis. It was an ST girl, okay, and I have experienced where people have said, "Arey, she may
But
be
is that a
ST, but
justified
these are
allegation
also
that
our
the caste
people."
would have played a part in Goa for
No,
for something
in
else?
tackling the crime,
Right.
in registering the crime under the ST Atrocities Act
Right,
and
okay.
all that, and the promptness by which the police should have acted. And the way, as I say, the scientific approach was not there, or systematic approach, because 6 people had seen a person in the school premises.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
When I studied the whole investigation done by the police and then followed by the CBI,
Right.
CBI didn't do much investigation. They took over from the police
Yes, that's right.
investigation.
Great.
Okay. And they took over from all the statements done by the police. He's now in crime branch, so he will tell me. Okay. I was shocked that the CBI didn't do their own they didn't take their own statement. They relied completely on the police statement. But what I studied, when I studied it, and that is what we presented afterwards when the CBI wanted to close the case, is that the 6 teachers, 5 teachers and the headmistress who had seen the person, they were not shown the sketch of the suspect.
They were not shown the sketch.
No.
Right.
Now,
right.
I as a common person, the citizen, do not understand how the person who had seen and who had made statement that they have seen it were not shown the sketch.
Right.
And you
right.
tell me they can show the sketch all over the town, but not to the people who had seen it.
Right.
So I don't understand how. So then you feel, frustrated that our police, and sometimes if you see the new recruits or the old recruits also, with all respect to sir, the quality of policemen being recruited, you don't expect them to give you justice. These are all political recruits who are coming in. They come from some organizations also now. Under Parikar, they came from some organization also, in Chang, Blanc and lot.
Okay.
So it's this sort of, when you start packaging the police in such manner, then they are only going to serve the masters and not the
We
citizens.
don't even know who are the masters.
Okay, let's
That's
flip
the
this.
problem.
Yeah, come to you, Bosco.
Everyone knows.
Make your point. Yeah.
No,
And we create the masters.
Okay.
We create when we vote.
Okay, I was coming to
we
you, Bosco,
create the
anyway.
masters
Yes.
of the police.
Okay.
No, it's a very sad thing that this case has not been detected.
Right.
But I'll tell you, Sujay, see, if the police were allowed to investigate it in the initial stage, see, initial, they give the police some time
That's true.
to come to some, theory to invest, because it's blind. We do not know the thing. But you get everyone giving you comments, that this is the theory, this is the theory, this is the theory. And I'm telling you, no investigating officer can do this thing. We then go about trying to, negate this theory, this theory, this theory. In the end, you don't get it.
Right.
The initial thing, because I do not know much of the case for the simple reason I was in the north, south was this thing. But from what we were, the trouble was every media, every known expert is giving you one theory about it. It was a mess from the start. Okay, like Cyril said. As far as Goa police is concerned, conventional crimes, till date, CBI has never been able to unwind what we had started.
That's true. Including the Scarlet.
Including the Scarlet. And that was, at least Scarlet, I know it to the point, and I had said they will not even be able to change a full stop or comma in that case. They only changed, which I even agree, from 302 to made it 304. That was the thing. Reason being, CBI is able to unwind or come to the conclusion than the rest of the country on the simple reason because over there they botch up the case. There is a cover up of the case. In our state, it has never happened this way. But yes, as I said, it went on the wrong summaries that this has to go, and naturally it went up into a mess. It's a sad thing.
So I would disagree with you on one issue between CBI and Goa police when you say, what I have understood, what I have studied is when CBI takes over a case, they have a dedicated person involved in that particular case.
Only thing, Cyril,
Yeah.
CBI is they have expertise
Yes.
in non-conventional crimes. All the economic cases, anti-corruption cases. As far as this conventional crimes of murder, rape, and all, I think they cannot. It will very difficult to beat the local police because we do this
Day in and out.
day in, day out,
From my
and
experience.
they take over after everything is already done.
From my experience, I will agree with Mr. George that when it comes to these conventional crimes, the CBI always falls short.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
in
both of you are
comparison-
involved in the Scarlet killing case deeply.
in
so-
comparison to what the local police do.
Yeah.
The CBI is very skilled in things like economic crime,
Yes. Anti-corruption,
Corruption.
Right.
and those kind of
and
offenses.
because over there it's all documentation, and they go by the book. They will not take when you come to the police station, you say that person has assaulted me. Our fellow, if he is there, he's too enthusiastic, he'll go and pick him up. The CBI will say, let us get a warrant.
No,
Let
the
us go
other
to the
problem
court.
is the
Yes.
CBI will have a dedicated officer
Yeah.
sitting in Bombay or Delhi who comes down twice a
Twice,
month,
yeah.
2 days a month.
Right.
The Goa police will have an officer who's here every day.
Every day.
Right.
So obviously he can deal with it.
Ryan, that
On
Goa
the
police
moment.
fellow does not have time for that crime
Yeah,
to
yeah.
resolve
Okay.
that crime.
No, no. What I'm
That's
saying
why
is,
that is specific.
no,
The
no.
officer
No, what
was
I'm saying is
investigating
only
that
thing as
Vasco
far
case,
as
yeah.
convention and they will go on our theories only. What you said is true. They are not out. Only thing they'll have much better infrastructure, much better forensics, as he has said. They'll have these things, expertise. They'll have a PP, dedicated PP to be all around them. I mean, these things are
So
there.
my question is, if they can have that, why can't we?
Okay, that's exactly what we'll discuss in this segment. We're running
Because
Why
they take
can't
one
we-
case
Once
at
again,
a
Cyril,
time.
we'll address this right now as we close. We've got about 8 minutes left to the show. Bosco, we'll in fact pick up some threads from what Cyril and you have just said in the concluding segment. See, let's flip the whole thing now in the sense that let us understand that there are elements in the police and many elements who are dedicated people with a attitude towards giving service. Let's accept that class exists. Okay, and obviously they are challenged by the system, by the milieu, mahal as they say in Hindi, and are completely consumed by the system or the lack of it, which prevents them from exercising their duty. So the issue is that fundamental to this, needs to be this whole division between the executive controlling the police. So in the sense that what do you feel should be the systematic changes to ensure that that these fundamentals need a little bit of tweaking, because unless the fundamentals change, these problems will continue irrespective of whether you have a good officer or a bad officer. Okay, so if you could just outline in this concluding segment as to what do we do to ensure that the police doesn't bend towards the powerful.
Today I can afford to say a little bit more.
Yes.
Like he rightly said about training.
Right.
Isn't it an irony? All IPS officers get the best training, but they never investigate a single case.
Yeah.
Come on, now this is going, you're going to start with this. I'm not saying the others are untrained. I'm just saying the best trainings are given to people. I'm fortunate to have got into IPS. We get the best training, but we don't investigate. We call, this is the worst thing that can ever happen, supervisory officers. I don't know why you require 1 level, 2 level, 3 levels of supervising. It should be the IO and his immediate superior. That's it. But here it goes to every level. Okay. And in CBI they have the person who investigates the cases is a gazetted officer, and then he has the number of what you call the subsidiary investigators.
Right.
I mean, that needs to be done. As it has to start at least in the crime branch, if not all the police stations, but at least crime branch and the main police stations of Goa, where you need this type of this thing.
Right.
Okay, so that would address the training part of it. Second part is that all our efforts as far as investigation, it has to be he says political I will say separating of investigation from law and order.
Yes.
Let's put it, I will put it in a different way. In law and order and all these things, you require politicians, because what happens, tackling sometime, there is a political party that comes up with morcha or whatever this thing. You require an equal this thing to handle and tackle the thing, because it is a political thing, it requires politics. But when it is a case has to be investigated, there should be no other reporting this thing.
Right.
So you have this thing that after this, once the FIR is registered, that person.
So how do you ensure that? That can only be ensured if the powers of writing a SCR and
the superintendence
transfers,
of the police doesn't go to the executive.
No. But the point is, how do you make changes? There has to be a constitutional change to this.
Yes, absolutely.
This
as far as investigations are concerned, it requires this thing that there cannot be any political this thing. That's why I say the superintendents of the police should be bifurcated as far as investigation is concerned, and otherwise, if it is with the executive, it will always.
Bosco, one more thing. There was always this talk of this police bill. Now, my point is, do we really know or are aware of what the police bill would be to change this basic problem?
Sujay, we did a lot. As a police officer, we wanted the police bill. We did even the police manual. Somehow it has got stuck up somewhere in the legislature. I don't know.
Okay. Shweta,
some have apprehensions that police will be made too powerful or this thing. But I think you require test it. Curtail it afterwards, but don't keep it in the veins for the.
Is it being tested right now in Hyderabad? A part of privatization and taking care of.
See, this was actually, if you all said and done, Mr. Pratap Singh Rani, who initially brought out that bill, which said auxiliary police.
Right.
I mean, these things, all this not like entertainments and all, you have an auxiliary. Today, if you are doing all these things.
You are doing only auxiliary.
Only auxiliary.
Correct. Shweta, a little bit on what you feel should be the basic changes, but I think the premise that we go by is that the politician will never cede power, and control over the police is a very big aspect of their power.
Yeah, I think police anywhere is with the powerful. It's not special to Goa. But the pace of change in Goa, I don't think everybody is really registering it, what's happening. And I think it really there needs to be like back in the day, the kind of revolutionary committees that existed, that needs to come back. People really need to think that what is going to happen, and a lot will need to be changed. Otherwise, next 5 to 6 years, I think we all will be having this conversation rather too often.
Right.
I'm seeing the rate of crime go up drastically. Incidentally, registration of crimes is not exactly a bad thing. It basically means that people are coming out and registering it and
Right.
feeling more confident
Right.
that they can go to the law and order authorities. So that's not a bad thing. The problem in Goa remains the conviction rate. The thing is that a lot of criminals who would get arrested anywhere else would come here, do a petty crime, go into jail for a month, get a bail and chill. So this kind of thing, that conviction rate really needs to go up.
Right.
So it's going to be between police and the law authorities that they'll have to work.
Right.
I'll just this thing.
Sure.
It's because Shweta brought up because of regarding ladies. Okay, regarding this thing. Invariably, first of all, we have a conscious decision has been taken because of the this thing that you don't arrest the lady. Okay. Now you arrest the Lals and all those people over there. The ladies go back to their state or wherever there is thing. When the time comes in the trial, nobody comes. That is one.
You're talking of
Yeah, but
trafficking
you're
cases.
talking about prostitution, right? Prostitution is different, and human trafficking is different, right? And human trafficking remains one of the largest in Goa. So that's a real criminal case.
Again, like you said, regarding human trafficking, you mean mostly of the migrants.
Yeah, migrants.
It is basically migrants.
Yes,
It's
yes.
basically migrant. Again, you get the children, you rescue them, you send them. We have it's a challenge keeping them even in Bal Bhavan and all these things. And then afterwards, it goes to the board that finally decides.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, there is no incentive to actually come back and run with,
Right.
go to the law and bother about the court and everything. They say, "ठीक है, हम लोग हो गया, we'll go back
Right.
home." And that's it. So, I mean, these are actual challenges because I know of the PPs and all. They have put in a lot of efforts as far as trying to get these.
Get all this correct. Okay, Cyril, your concluding remarks and
No,
suggestions.
see, my one. See, I am biggest victim of police atrocities in Goa because I'm on it. I see sometimes I'm also put behind bars because we are irritants for them. Understood? People who keep an eye on the police are always the biggest irritants because they can't face us. No, that's the problem. Police are caged parrots, be they in Goa or anywhere else. Okay, I would want these caged parrots to be brought out. The cages should. Sir has diplomatically put it up to superintendents that he is demanding independence from superintendents. He is not demanding from politicians. I want them to be independent from superintendents, from the executive as well as the politicians. More so from the politicians. If that can happen, then justice will prevail at every step, everywhere. Every citizen will get justice. But that is not happening. But this is what.
The thing
even
is,
the-
I'm starting with the first step. Give us give us that authority up from about superintendent. There is not real this thing. It is pressure is down. At least give them that liberty.
Okay.
But politicians should,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
should be free
That
from
is
them
ideal.
also. The biggest, yeah.
Cyril,
And we should aim at it. You know,
we're
we
running
have
out
to
of
aim
time,
at
so I will give Ryan the.
I will echo
stage to conclude.
Mr.
Yes.
George.
Yes.
Insulate the police from the political class in every aspect of service, starting with recruitment up to the day they retire. ACRs, transfers, promotions, everything. Have some sort of a commission that will regulate that, have senior police officials on that commission.
Absolutely.
Let them conduct their own internal administration, including down to writing ACRs. Secondly, better training in investigative methods, but also to sensitize them that protect and serve should be their motto. Thirdly, much higher use of technology. And fourthly, more humane working conditions, which means they have reasonable working hours and they can be more efficient. Obviously, if they are doing 3 days work in one day, efficiency is going to drop. That also needs to be addressed.
Okay, I'll end on a very simple note, because from the time we were children, we always knew that if any wrong was committed, we could always go to the police station. The uniformed police force was always seen as a source of strength and protection. And if everything else failed, we knew that, the police station would give us justice. Maybe that feeling is still there in a lot of people, because you invariably end up doing that. You reach out for the phone to call the nearest police station. You go there with a lot of hope. And one wouldn't say that, the entire force is corrupt or inefficient and so on and so forth. But this discussion has brought out some harsh realities and some real challenges. I think the devil is in the detail. The problem here is that we need a systematic change to end this pandemic, as it were. The police, while one admits that they may have crossed over to the other line and mingled with forces of power, but not everybody. The issue is, it's not a system problem as such. It's become a systematic problem primarily because of the fact that certain fundamental changes are being ignored or resisted by the powers that be. But at the core of it all, you need an honest policeman to change society and make it function in the manner that it should. And when the public and the common man is so much at pain and the police is seen as an enemy of the people, then I don't think democracy or a humane society can function in the manner that it was envisaged. I thank all my panelists for giving so much of input and insight. I'm not sure whether this will lead to solutions or not, but it's at least got us thinking as to what the way forward is, and that I think is a good enough start. Thank you very much for being with us and giving your insights. Thank you.
Thank you.